Hello and welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, the basketball edition. Y'all know I was on the road all day and I made it home just a few minutes ago, fed the cats, didn't even unpack the bags yet because I had to jump on. I did get to see some of your comments. I stopped for gas and I was able to put in a little post that said, I know what's going on. I found out on the road and I'll be back with you as soon as I can. Listen, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And you ought to hit the subscribe button when you realize that homegirl keep batting 1,000. Keep batting 1,000. But before we get into it, I have to say, I had a wonderful time out of state participating in a women's conference. The conference was called, got myself a sweatshirt, Rebuilding Peace, P-I-E-C-E, by Peace, P-A-C-E, and it has a scripture here, Jeremiah 11, 14 through 18. So I had the wonderful opportunity to be able to speak and to impart into other people, and then also be the recipient of others speaking and imparting into me, and it was wonderful. But I did miss you guys and you gals, and then I heard the news, and you guys know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say, and you're not gonna hear it out there. You're not gonna hear a lot of other podcasters say, you know what, that Adrienne of the Adrienne Ross Show, she's been calling it all along, and she just said this recently when everybody was like, what are we gonna do? Did you hear the new president? What she said, that means that Christie Sides is staying. How many people have you heard out there? I don't know. I've been on the road. I don't know. Are there people out there saying, you know, that Adrienne Ross, she was the one to call it? I don't know. Maybe they did. Kudos to them if they were able to do that. But we know the deal. I called it, and I'm batting 1,000. I told y'all that Christie Sides would not be coaching this team next season. She would not be the head coach. And there were some of you who said, man, we really want to believe you, but we're having a hard time believing you. And there were others who said, we don't believe you. And there were others who said, you shouldn't say that. She took the team to the playoffs. She deserves another year. And I hear all of y'all. But like I said, she was not going to be coaching this team in the next season. And before I get more into that, let me just play back a little bit. There's more than one video of me talking about that and lives of me talking about that. But I'm going to show you just a few snippets, just a little bit of the video after the president made her remarks in which she was praising Christie Sides, and people felt like their hopes and dreams were dashed and that Christie Sides was staying. So I did a video exclusively for members of the channel. And then I did a broader one, a more specific one, I should say, more detailed one. So I guess that's not broader, that's more narrow. I really zoned in and went deeper, and that was for everyone. And so I'm going to show some snippets from that video, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more. So after the new Indiana Fever president, Kelly Krauskopf, had a press conference, I noticed that some people were a little bit disheartened because they felt like their idea, their hopes, and their dreams that Christie Sides would go bye-bye were dashed. They felt, based on the comments that the president made, that Christie Sides was going to be in here, at least for another year. So I was catching wind of that. And I watched that portion in addition to other portions of the interview, or rather I should say the press conference, and I wanted to give my thoughts. And that brings me here right now. I got to tell you, I think you should take heart, because I did not read that as many people did. I still say what I said before. I said earlier that Lynn Dunn would go, and she went. And as I said, I'm batting 1,000, because that's not the only thing I've gotten right. But I still think I'm batting 1,000, because I still believe, from what I saw of how President Krauskopf answered that question, I still say Christie Sides is not coaching this team next year. Some of you guys, you gotta go deeper. You gotta look deeper. Did you hear what she said? They're about winning, and she has high expectations of herself, but not just herself, of her staff. And the players in this organization are going to have everything they need to be successful. And so if that is in your DNA to compete and to win, and if you can provide the best opportunity possible for this organization to get back to what is in its DNA, then you'll be welcome here. Now, this woman has quite the resume, quite the impressive resume. They didn't bring her in to water the flowers, okay? To water the plants. She came in to shake things up. And we said that when Lynn Dunn, which I said she was gonna go, she's gonna be starting the 28th, she's gonna be a senior advisor, she's not gonna be the GM. You don't bring someone in from the top if you plan to just play games. She just said, if you want to play in this organization, if you want to be a part of this organization, look, I have high expectations of myself and my staff, and this team will have everything they need to be successful. This woman knows the game. She knows success. She knows what it takes. She's telling you it's in her DNA. You don't think she recognizes that Christie Sides doesn't fit that bill? You don't think she recognizes that? She recognizes that. And as we're going to see in a moment, as you just heard, yeah, she's a great person. She says Christie Sides is a good person. That's great. But again, it's not just about being a good person. It's about putting things in place so that the DNA of this team can be manifested. That's the point. I keep receipts. I just keep receipts. So you saw it, you heard it, I called it. And I'm hoping to do a live tonight where we can engage with one another and talk a little bit more about this major decision, and then also talk about perhaps what might be happening next. But that will be later. I don't know exactly what time, so make sure your notifications are turned on and that you are able to engage with us in that live if you're a subscriber. Okay, now I want to first go ahead and read the statement from the Fever announcing that Christie Sides would no longer be a part of the Indiana Fever. So let me share that. Okay, Indiana Fever announced head coaching change. This is today, October 27th. They say the Indiana Fever announced on Sunday that the organization has parted ways with head coach Christie Sides. And then they go on to quote, "We are incredibly thankful to Coach Sides for embracing the challenge of leading us through an integral transition period over the last 2 seasons, while also positioning us for future growth," said Fever President of Basketball Operations Kelly Krauskopf. While decisions like these are never easy, it is also imperative that we remain bold and assertive in the pursuit of our goals, which includes maximizing our talent and bringing another WNBA championship back to Indiana. Coach Sides was an incredible representative of the Fever and our community, and we wish her nothing but success in the future. And then it goes on to share some of her accolades, which out of respect for Coach Sides, I'm going to share. In 2 years as head coach, Sides posted a 33-47 regular season record, and last season she helped lead the Fever to their first postseason appearance since 2016. In addition, last season, of course, meaning this season, for, since the season is over, they're already calling it last season. In addition to aiding in the development of back-to-back WNBA Rookies of the Year, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, Sides became the first coach in franchise history to be named WNBA Coach of the Month, which we all experienced. We all were there in August of 2024. So there's that statement thanking her, but then pointing out some things as well. And that is, they're talking about a future. They're talking about moving forward. They're talking about, yeah, this is never easy, but you have to be bold and assertive. And this is what I've been trying to express. First of all, thank you, Christie Sides. You did not have an easy assignment. I understand that there are people who will say, you got Caitlin Clark. Of course it's easy. Absolutely not. There was no way that they were able to gauge the amount. Well, perhaps they should have been able to gauge the amount of eyeballs that were going to be on them and the pressure that was going to be on them because of the following Caitlin Clark had in college. But there's nothing about nothing like stepping into it and then it becomes reality. All the eyeballs, all the attention, all the angst from other coaches, from other players, the physical abuse that Caitlin Clark took, the amount of 94 feet of pressure on the ball from someone who's only in her second year of coaching, who had never had been a head coach before the year before that. And so it would take a lot to be able to do this. So though we say, well, you got Caitlin, let her go, right? There are a lot of other things at play. And Christie Sides made some adjustments. You've heard me say over and over again that I did see growth in her throughout the season. I started off in the season, you guys know, a couple games in, maybe 3-4 games in, I was like, she got to go. She just has to go. Why? Because she's in over her head, I said. So some of you will say, she had it easy. No, it's not. And sometimes it's more difficult to coach stars than it is to coach scrubs. And so, she made a lot of mistakes. There was some growth. And I think the greatest growth was that when she decided to get out of the way and stop trying to force things a certain way into the post, paint touches, and let this team run. And so she had to do that. She had to step back a little bit. And so I give her that. But I do think that they did well in the second part of the season, not because of her, but in spite of her. But I do thank her for what she did and what she gave. And yeah, bringing them back to the playoffs, or at least being the head coach while they went back to the playoffs, and all of that. But right decision to be made, because a moment is important. I've been trying to stress upon people who were like, she deserves another season. She deserves another season. While I thank her and I wish her well, no, she was in over her head. I did not subscribe to the mindsets that she's purposely tanking or she can't stand Caitlin Clark. And at the end, when they mailed Caitlin's, when the WNBA, I guess, mailed Caitlin's trophy tour for Rookie of the Year, and she made the team made comments, and then Christie Sides, her comment, and everybody was like comparing how she responded to Aaliyah Boston winning Rookie of the Year versus how she responded to Caitlin Clark winning Rookie of the Year. And I said in lives, videos, wherever it was, I stressed the fact I don't believe she was tanking. I don't believe she was trying to sabotage Caitlin Clark's career, although I listened to some of those things and you had to wonder sometimes, but I didn't think she just couldn't stand Caitlin Clark. And I didn't think that she was trying to show Aaliyah Boston more love than she showed Caitlin Clark. I believe she was in over her head. Simple as that. That she did what she could do. And apparently the coaching staff nobody was able to convince her to do something different, or they didn't know. But clearly she was in over her head. Now, in terms of how she responded when Caitlin Clark won Rookie of the Year versus how she responded when Aaliyah, they're like, oh, it looked like she just hated to do it. I believe that she had already known that she was going to go bye-bye. That was when we got the news about the GM, that Lynn Dunn was done. And I'm sure that I feel sure, I should say, that Christie Sides was also told that they were going to transition her out and bring someone else in. And there she is, has to stand in front of the camera and wish Caitlin well and, congratulate her, but then wish her well, knowing that you are not going to be a part of it. I think that's what we were seeing. And I said it then. So for those of you who said, she did what she did, she deserves another year, etc. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. And I've been trying to explain. Okay. This is a business. It's basketball. As a person who played, as a person myself who has also coached, as a person who is certified in leadership and communications by the #1 leadership expert in the world, John Maxwell, as someone who has, not trying to just make myself look good, I'm just telling you, it just is what it is. As someone who has been trained to go into businesses, to go into churches, to go into organizations and give leadership training, as someone who does that and who's focused in on communication, I can tell you that it's not about her being a nice person. It's not about she deserves. It's a business. Ain't nobody deserve nothing. You know what I mean? It's not about deserving. It's not about being nice. It's about the moment. And in this moment, hear me, when you have Caitlin Clark, when you have a generational talent, you cannot waste it on what you feel someone deserves. Yes, she got back to the playoffs after all those years. But when it comes to sports careers in particular, there's a limited amount of time in which to be effective. Caitlin Clark, who knows? God forbid, injury. God forbid she say, I'm not doing this in 5 years. I'm gonna, I'm gonna do what Maya Moore did. I'm gonna go fight a cause or, whatever. All you have is this moment, and you have a talent, and you got to see in the second half of the season how she gels with the Kelsey Mitchell. And you know that there are free agents you can bring in who know the game and they don't want to play for Christie Sides. But you also know that you've got a new GM, right? And so GM's going to want someone that she can trust and someone who's got talent. And we can look and all see that Christie Sides is not up to the task. So you cannot make decisions on emotion like, oh, I feel so good about what she did. It just doesn't work like that, because business is, you've got to strike while the iron is hot. And when you have Caitlin Clark, you cannot waste the talent she is when you're trying to build something, when you're trying to get that DNA to rise up again that's been dormant. You just can't do it. And it hurts you and it pains you to do it. But if you can't do it, you don't deserve to be the president. You don't, just like we said about Lynn Dunn, she should have been able to say, Christie Sides cannot handle the task. But sometimes we are delusional, or we let our emotions get in the way, and it can be difficult. But I said, they're not bringing in a president. They're not bringing in a GM to just chill. No, they know what we know. And that is that Christie Sides is in over her head. As much as I think she did what she could do, and I do wish her well, this is the best decision, because you cannot waste this moment, and you've got to have a top-notch coach to win the championships that you can win with Caitlin Clark and the other pieces to the puzzle. You see those puzzle pieces here? Piece by piece. You've got to do it. And, kudos to them that they were able to do it. And again, some of you thought, well, listen to what she said I said, you got, again, leadership training here, communication training here. And I said this in the comments, and people came at me, some of you. And I said again, she never said she was a great coach. I tip my hat to the FIBA organization, because their president handled it with class and with respect to Christie Sides. She wasn't going to go up there. This is what you guys, that's why I said you got to look deeper. She wasn't going to go up there and say, yeah, no. She said, how do you think she did? Oh, she was terrible. She took too long to get it together. No, what she did was she said she had a lot of things against her, but she was consistent. And she said the good things she could say, but she never said that she was some wonderful coach that could take them to the next level. Sometimes that's your role. And I saw somebody say this in the comments, some time ago. Sometimes your role is to get someone to a certain place, and then somebody else says, I'll take it from here. And they can take the team where you just don't have it to take the team to. And it takes someone to be able to make those decisions. So hats off again to the FIBA. She handled that well. She said what Christie Sides does well. She's resilient. You can't take that away from her. They had a lot against them. They had a horrible schedule to start. They were put in a horrible position. It's just true. But still, to get to the next level, we've got to move on. but she praised her where she could praise her. But I could look at her and tell it wasn't what these other podcasters and people were saying. She was struggling to find the right words. And also hats off to this organization, because what she waited until the general manager, Lynn Dunn, she's supposed to move into her new position on the 28th. Today is the 27th. So I guess her official last day, and she's supposed to move into her new position on 28th. And when she moves in to her different position as senior advisor, some people say she named herself that, whatever the case may be, when she moves out and the new GM moves in, Cox, she's moving in with another opportunity. I don't know if she already has the coach. I don't know if they already have the coach, but she's not moving in with the old coach, Christie Sides. Okay. So it is what it is. Some of you feel disappointed. Most of us are saying, yeah, because it's the right thing to do. And this is business. And you got to make the tough decisions if you're going to be in business. Basketball is a business. So again, it is what it is. I just showed y'all a little bit of the receipts. I will put the link to that one video. There are many, but I'll put the link to that one video in which the new president came in and people had a meltdown, which I'm about to have right now. Look at that. Pop, 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 pop. I'm just, whoo, I'm glistening. But I do wish Christie Sides well. Again, I do plan to go live tonight, God willing, and we'll throw some names around and, you know, who might be the next coach. We'll chop it up a little bit. And let's just you know, have a little new beginnings party over here on the Adrienne Ross Show. So I don't know what time. Make sure your notifications are on so you don't miss it. Invite your friends. And again, if you have not subscribed to the show, please make sure you do that. Really appreciate that. So I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.